Welcome to the Happiness Forum with Rhonda and Sandrine.
Hi, this is Rhonda. I'm here again with Sandrine. We're
Hi,
going.
Rhonda.
Hi, how are you?
Good. We're good tonight.
Good. We have actually, it's a very serious topic, but not really because, just like everything, everything's a thought. So we're going to discuss probably the most serious topic there is, and that's death. Um, and we think of death as probably like this is the worst thing that can happen, but it's not really. And um, Sandrine and I are writing a book, and this came up. We're including this in the book because we wrote a book. Sandrine, do you want to talk a little bit about the book in general, and then I will talk about what happened when the subject of death came up? Because
Okay. So,
okay,
really, the general idea of the book is to get to know yourself. Like we say in our website, our slogan is "Know Yourself." So, what does that really mean? It means to get to know your inner world, being able to navigate your inside world, which is getting to know yourself at a deeper level, getting to know your higher self, and what does it mean to be in touch with your higher self and how that will change your life, really. So that's the whole topic of the book, uh, to help you navigate your inner space and get in touch with your higher self.
right. And part of it, of course, is thoughts and emotions, right?
Yes.
So, our thoughts create our emotions create our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
We wrote about that. And then, we had like after we were done with the first part, like I guess we were on chapter 5 and everything was good. And it's like, wow, this information is great. This self knowledge, understanding the ego, understanding the soul, why we're here, and all that. And then it hit me. It's like, okay, everything's great, like you can go around and be in the moment and appreciate life. And then I thought, and then we're going to die, and that's pretty depressing. And that also other people are going to die,
Yeah.
which is even more depressing. So
Well, it
then,
depends how you look at it, right? It's like everything
right,
else. Like death
yeah,
is really part of the deal that we have here, in this life. It's like it's part of the cycle. So we all know, we're going to go there. We're not going to think about it. We're going to live as if it doesn't exist. And sometimes, when we lose someone close, that's when it hits. And that's when
right,
we feel the reality of it, that it really happened. And, in spite of that, it depends on, how you were raised, where you were raised, like in which culture, because different culture deal with death differently. Um, and what are your beliefs
and
personally?
psychological makeup, things you've
Yeah.
experienced, I think have a lot to do with it.
So we can say that, I don't know, maybe I'm going to say a wrong number, but 80% of the population are, or maybe 100% of the population are scared about death because it's a scary thought to have, that one day everything end, yet it's not a thought that we can really imagine. It's almost impossible to imagine that we are stopping one day and everything stop. But depending on the culture, they celebrate death, because they know that it's a continuity, it's a transition. So depending on what you think and what is your belief system, you're going to deal with it differently.
Right. So, when we were writing the book and this came up, I thought it was different, like completely different from anything else because it superseded the book. I mean, if I'm dead, I'm the author, like co-author of this book. Like, what does it matter because I'm not here? So I'm thinking, even death is more important than everything else. And then when we talked about it, Sandrine said, no, it's just the ego, just like everything else,
Yeah, it
which
is.
kind of is a little bit comforting too, that it's just our minds.
Yes. Like I said, it depends in which culture you were raised and what belief you have, because you would think differently about that experience. It's an experience, it's a transition that nobody knows, what's going on after. But either way, either you reincarnate or nothing happened at all and it's done, you're gonna be okay, because once the transition is made, you're at peace somehow, uh because you did make that transition and you're okay. So what happened is that other people around you would, grieve for you, but it's really themselves grieve crying, and that all that sadness. And it's hard to say in that way because cognitively it's easy to understand, but when it happened to you, you really feel that pain. If it's somebody close to you, if it's a parent, a sister, a brother, a child, it's like the pain can be unbearable, and it might be really terrible to go through, to grieve that person. But at a deeper level, it's your ego that is not, that is like so sad, that is not going to be able to feel, the what they were feeling with that person. So it's still an ego, a way to exist. We exist through each other. If there was nobody on the planet, then my ego wouldn't need anything. We exist through one another. So when a person dies, it's like, oh my god, I'm not going to feel that way anymore. I not going to feel that way anymore. That person is not there to make me feel that way. And it's very ego centered,
Like everything else.
like everything else. And it's part of what it is to be human. And yet, like I said, it's hard to say something like that because we truly do deeply feel when we lose someone, and it's something that we cannot understand. It's something that is like more, you know the pain can be more than we can bear or understand, that make it so difficult. And yet this is the ego, taking over and being me, 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 so it's really hard to really integrate that notion, but that's really how I see it. And like I said, once you look at everything on a deeper level in that way, the transition of dying is just part of life, and it's not that terrible. Hopefully, you know you can die in your sleep, having the best death possible, of course. But the transition itself doesn't seem so scary when you are able to look at yourself at a deep level and connect. We haven't talked about the connection that we get from meditation. Like, I meditate for a long time, and once you're able to reach that connection within, with that inner space, then you know dying might feel just like connecting again. There is like, once you have reached that connection within, you have peel off, cognitively, actually, all the layers of your ego, and you're in touch with your inner self, with that energy that is you. So dying is just getting rid of the body, but that energy is still there and it's still living. So it's not such a big deal to go through it. It's not as scary. Like, fear disappear once you have that connection, because you know that you are more than just the body. So not having the body with you anymore is not so, you know difficult. It might be freeing for some also. That's another idea, but
When you explain that, it doesn't sound as scary because you are like when you meditate, it's almost like everything else dissolves sometimes.
yeah,
And when you're
that's
really in
the
touch
goal.
with yourself, so it's almost the same thing. But then the fear of death is really our thoughts, it's our ego.
Yes. Yes. And what you develop when you meditate, when you develop with removing, like detaching yourself from the ego, so detaching yourself from the body that is attached to the ego, detaching yourself from those emotion that goes with the body, right? Those
Right?
thoughts, those emotion. Um, all you feel is that energy alive. It's a force that is within you, that is, the light within. That's what they're talking about. But it really feels that way because it's such a force that is there and that is alive, that when you um, connect yourself or identify with this energy rather than the body, then dying is a wonderful experience because you're going to be free. You're going to be free from the body. There is no more restriction. You can expand that light. You can expand that energy force, everywhere. It's like a beautiful thing in a way, and fear disappear because it's almost like, wow, it's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful when that happen, you know and a lot
But
of people that are that are self-realized, through meditation, will tell you the same thing, and it's really real because you're not identifying yourself with that ego anymore. You have let go of the ego, and and free yourself basically. But it's hard for people to comprehend because it's really an experience that you have to go through in order to believe it exists. Otherwise, by just hearing somebody telling a story like I'm doing now, it's like, oh, I cannot relate. I never felt it, so I can
right,
relate.
no
I
one's
don't know. It's just
yeah,
another story.
yeah, unless somebody remembers a past life or a parallel life or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, nobody really knows what it's like to die. Like,
Yes.
so it's something that has to be experienced. And I mean, we do get some information from people from the dying, and there's been books written about that. I know there's like a lot of times they see people who have passed over. So, there is some evidence that, when you transition, you're, meeting some of the souls that you spent your life with, which
Mm-hmm.
is a very comforting thing as well. If
Yes.
you're going to be reconnected with some of the people who have crossed over previously.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can only um guess, you know, and like I said, we guessing what the experience could be from our experience now and from the system belief that we have within. So um
I know
a
it's
lot a
sad.
lot of
Yeah,
people associate death with fear. Not many people would say, it can be good.
there are
It
cultures,
might
like
be good, you know.
there are cultures, aren't there, that celebrate death?
Yeah,
Like,
Hinduism celebrate, when somebody die, they release that person because they know that the energy is released, and they celebrate the death rather than grieve and mourn. I mean, I'm sure that's very sad to let the
right.
person go because they're, their family member or so, but it's a different taste to it than our, Eastern culture where, you know, we die and, we have two choice, heaven or hell, that kind of story. So, and, um, and
Yeah,
it
there
and
are.
it's really very subjective. So, before it happened, I would, for anybody that wanna lessen their fear, I would start meditation and give it a try, because you never know what you can find, if that can help, with that fear. Meditation is a good tool.
That's always great
Try.
advice for everything,
For
meditation.
everything, meditation is good.
Um, but what about people? I know, like, your own death is one thing. You can, like, kind of imagine, okay, I'm not here. Say you believed in there's no afterlife, and just not being here, it's kind of scary, but you can accept that.
Yeah.
I think what's harder is, you're always fearing like the death of a loved one.
Yes.
And the fear, so there's two things. There's the fear that somebody close to you will die, and then there's the actual experience if someone has passed on. So what advice would you give? Meditation, would that be the advice, or is there something else, how to think differently maybe, or like because when you're grieving, like you're not, you're just experiencing like raw emotion, like at first.
Yes. Like any emotion that is intense, um, there is not really a tip that can help everybody. We all, it takes time. So grieving takes time. Um, you have to go through it in order to
Right.
feel and sense that emotion, in order for the emotion uh to get less intensity. You have to go through it. So, and only time, can help with grievance. That is not something, grievance, time and understanding, the ego part of yourself in that situation, like objectifying, those emotions, saying, hey, it comes from my ego. I know that the person is in a better place because they're not suffering at this moment, but my ego is still angry that the person is not here, or sad, or all those negative emotion that goes with grievance. So it's
Now,
all those, all those bad emotion comes from your ego. It's you personally feeling that way, about the situation, and you have all the right. I'm just saying, the only way to help yourself would be to look at it as if they were things, or meditating too, of course.
right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of times the only way out is through. You have to feel,
Yeah.
any kind of, whatever the loss is. You grieve any kind of loss, and you really have to feel the emotions. So, what about avoiding the emotion? Because a lot of people, sometimes people stay busy and they don't really, they try not to feel, whatever. I guess that's what addiction is. Finding things to,
To numb yourself so you
right,
won't feel. Well, it's a band-aid, you know. There is so much you can numb yourself for, uh, you know, a certain period of time, but it's still there. If you don't deal with it, it's gonna take a longer time to process and digest. If if you try to just put band-aid on it, if you just try to numb it and pretend it's not there, it's just prolongating the time that you're gonna have to deal with it, I think.
right. And also, I just want to point out that, I know this is a kind of a depressing topic, but really, we have like a spectrum of emotions, and, we, there's just so many different things in life, and so many great things, but this is just one of the things about life. We're only here on this planet for a short time. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe even looking at it philosophically, um, like in some ways, dying kind of makes you appreciate life more. So we can look at it like that as well.
Yeah, of course. Um, but I'm sorry, Rhonda. Just to go back, I was thinking about something about the grievance.
Hmm.
A good
Yeah,
way
go
to
ahead.
a good way to go through it, because you have to deal with, with that grievance, with that sadness, anger that you feel, is
Right.
to talk about the person as much as you want, as much as you can, to keep that person alive, because anyone that has lost somebody, close, they will feel their presence within them by a memory, by
Yeah.
something they used to say, and that's a way to keep them alive. I mean, I, I hear my grandma sometimes saying things that she used to say, and that just gives me a smile on my face. She's not here anymore. But I'm like, oh my God, you're still alive, That's
Yes.
what I tell myself. And it's
Right.
funny because it still gives me a smile to this day. So it's a way of thinking of them, it's a way of grieving, to just remembering them, as much as possible, as long as you need. I think that's the best way to deal with grievance, actually, to really go through it with them and feel them as long as you can. It's okay.
Right.
Do
And there's
that.
other people who miss them too. And, you
Yeah.
know, like, yeah, the whole family or whoever is
Yes.
involved will, you have something in common. You're both grieving, or, a few
Yeah.
people grieving. Yeah.
That's funny you saying that, because we talk about my grandma a lot with my parents.
Yeah.
And they're always gonna say a sentence and we know it's from her, and they say, oh my God, she's still there. Like every day we have to
Oh,
say
yeah.
something about her that she said or she would do. Like
Wow.
she's still around just
That's
because of
great.
that, because she's always in her life in that way.
Right.
And
It's
it's
like,
funny because that makes us smile. So he says something and I say something else and then we laugh. It's like, yeah, she's still here.
right. Well, the soul does go on forever.
Yeah.
So that's indestructible.
Hmm.
But yeah, when somebody lives on the earth, they make an impression, and it lasts.
And they stay behind because even if they're not here, they're still alive through other people that they met and that they lived with, that they made a difference. They plant a little seed all that time they were here, and people remember.
Right.
They alternate, other people's life in their way, just by being them and by their life. They just, change in some way or another people's life around them just because of their existence. And
Right.
that's a great thing to remember, to know that they're still alive within all of us because of that. They're not gone. They left a lot of things behind, within people.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like you say, they're not gone. And, there's so many different beliefs around that. Like some people believe that they're in heaven, some people, believe that they're, in some kind of limbo, reincarnated. There's all, and we explore some of these things in our books. Um, but no matter what you believe, there is some kind of connection
Of course.
between all the souls,
Hmm.
and the soul never dies. It's indestructible.
It's energy. We all energy within. So when that energy leave the body, it becomes energy, of the collective. I mean, that's my thinking. That's my way of, you know seeing what comes next. We just share the energy, with the collective consciousness that is all around us. So that energy never die. The essence of us is there around us at all time. That's what I believe. And again, and maybe that's for another topic, but the idea of they are somewhere doing something, it's the ego mind thinking that way because we have to identify to the human condition.
Because it's hard to believe that we can be part of a larger whole.
Yeah,
That we, yeah, that we lose, essentially when we die, we lose our ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we like water. We turn into, steam and then rain and then we become water again. It's we transition, from one condition to another. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
forget about the body. I'm talking about, like
the
that essence
soul.
of us
Right.
would,
Right.
make transformation along the way. But again, it's my belief, and I know a lot of people share the same belief, you know, and a lot of people really don't. It's it's a matter of, where you are now in your experience.
Right. Well,
And
thank you.
I don't think it's such a sad or depressing topic. I think people want to hear about that because people don't know. They want to hear something that's going to be like, maybe,
Oh, yeah, of course. We should talk
that's
about it.
better what I'm saying
Yeah.
than what they've been told, you know?
Oh,
So
yeah,
maybe
no,
they would
definitely.
appreciate that and maybe they will be like, yeah, I like that
Well,
version better.
yeah, no, I think it's great that we're talking about it. It's just, I think, in our culture, it's always, just very sad.
Hmm.
Somebody dies, you say, I'm sorry. It's just, it is a sad
It is
situation.
sad, like any way you look at it. Like even me with my belief, of course,
Right,
it's terrible if one of you, the person close to you, passed. It's a very sad
right,
moment.
right. But not thinking about it, just pushing it aside doesn't really push it out of
Yeah,
doesn't get rid of the fear. So that's why it's good to talk about it. And we will be addressing this topic in our next book that we're writing right now.
yes,
Yeah.
excited about the next book. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Looking forward. We still
Me
don't have
too.
a title, so we just call it book three.
Book three for now. But yeah, I think we went around that topic, and I don't know, like people are gonna disagree with what they hear, and people are gonna be happy that they hear a different version to maybe think about.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I always like hearing different ideas.
Yeah.
So, myself, I'm a skeptic in general, and I do believe that the soul goes on forever, but I'm not quite sure where it goes or what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I do enjoy like looking into it and reading about different experiences, and
Yeah.
so I think this was a great topic.
I think that was
Um,
great too. I
yeah,
can't wait to see, what comes next after this podcast and see what our listener, if they have any question, if they have any topic they want us to explore, that'd be great too to let us know.
yeah, you can always write to us at everythingnoetic@gmail.com. So hope to hear from you, and that about wraps it up for today. Thanks,
Good night,
Sandrine.
Rhonda. That was
Good
great.
night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. For more information, or to schedule an astrology reading or coaching session, visit everythingnoetic.com.